Good morning, church. Talofalava church. That's a Samoan way of saying hello. So, God does not call the equip, He equips the ones He calls. It's a saying my dad continues to say to me when I made this commitment to pursue ministry full time. Throughout my journey, I've been in different locations, and I've done a lot of different jobs, and each of these jobs have strengthened my character on who I am today. And I'm so grateful for that. And so today I stand before you as our sermon title is today is called Commitment, because I have made a commitment to pursue God in a ministry perspective here today in Foresters Beach Church and wherever God will take us. I've also had to speak to my families as well, because I can't do this without their support. And that goes to my extended family. My family's in New Zealand, my family's in Samoa, and also my local family as well. Like, I can't sustain my commitment to God without their support. So, Abraham Lincoln said, commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. 2016, February 7, I married my best friend, Rachel. And that was a commitment that I made to her on that special day. Well, what did that mean? What did that commitment mean? Well, there were many things. It meant that what was mine was hers, and what was hers was hers. Pretty much, eh? It also meant that, if there's an extra piece of gluten steak there, that I would offer it to my wife first before I would devour it myself. And as you can see, I'm a big guy, so I love to eat. That's just a reference for anyone who wants to invite me for lunch. Let me know. Okay? So, also, I was willing to lay my life down for my wife. And that was the biggest commitment I was going to make for her on that special day. Making a commitment means you have to make a lot of sacrifices. Things that you used to do, that you have to put aside because of that commitment. And on that day, I made that commitment publicly to, I think, about 300 people on that special day. And what have we learned about commitment in our marriage? Well, we're still learning. I think February 7 is just around the corner, and I think it's 7 years we've been married. Oh, six. Sorry, bro, 6. 6 years we have been married. And we continue to learn, grow, inspire, and create a family that is worthy of God's praise. Because that's all it is. Now we have a little one, and she's 1 year old. Has dynamics changed between my wife and I's relationship? Of course. But does our relationship come first? Yes, it does. And it's quite sad, but yes, if I'm not committed to my wife earnestly and honestly, even with the birth of a child, my daughter can't grow up. My daughter needs to grow up and see the relationship that God has blessed us with. And that was the commitment I made to my wife on 2016, February 7. In Genesis chapter 22, there's a story of a father and son. This guy named Abraham, and his son name is Isaac. So in this chapter, it talks about how God spoke to Abraham and said, mate, I need you to take your son. I need you to sacrifice him. And Abraham was Yeah, he was quite obedient to God. So he did what God had commanded. Can you imagine what may have been going through Abraham's head at that time? God wanted to test Abraham. He was testing Abraham because he wanted to see his commitment and obedience to God. That's what he was trying to test. God did not want Isaac to die, the son, but it was mainly just to test the character and strengthen the relationship that Abraham had for God. In the previous chapter, in chapter 21 of Genesis, Isaac is a promised child. God promised Isaac to them, and God delivered in his commitment or in his promise to Abraham. So you can imagine what may have been going through Abraham's mind at this time. Difficult? Was it a difficult decision? Of course it was. If I was in Abraham's shoes, what would I do? If you were in Abraham's shoes, what would you do? I have a daughter. If God said to me, sacrifice her, man, I would have choked, to be honest. I would have had to revisit my commitment with God and my relationship with him moving forward. But Abraham didn't. He didn't waver. He didn't shake. He continued on. When I was doing business, we would deliver linen to customers. Okay, linen had to be there on time, in full, on the particular moment that they needed it. And that was the commitment that we made to them. If it wasn't delivered in time, on time, in full, there were a lot of costs that were involved. Cost of housekeepers, cleaning, changing beds, changing seats, them coming in later. There was a lot of commitment. There was a lot of things that were involved cost-wise. And so I ran a pretty tight ship once I had established a trust basis with my team, because I knew what it felt like if my grandmother was in hospital and someone decided, nah, I'm just going to be 5 minutes late today, or I'm going to be 10 minutes late today. So I try to empower my team to remain committed to their job. Was it a hard task? Of course. Some people don't want to turn up. Some people were like, yeah, nah, I'll get Centrelink, I'm all good. Other people were like, oh, I'm not feeling well today, and that's fine. And so part of my role, again, was to empower and try to strengthen that commitment to this job. And it was very challenging. Some people I've had to dismiss, and I've had to do those cutthroat decisions, which hopefully in time has changed their character and who they are. But I knew, as from a business perspective, it needed to be done in order for us to grow, in order for us to continue to make that commitment to our customers. Here, Abraham was, he was a man of God. And can you imagine if Abraham knew the rewards he was going to get if God had told him, okay, if you sacrifice your son, this is what you're going to get? You think he would have done it straight away without any hesitation? Would you be in the same boat? In these days, it's an exchange of value. I give you something of value, and I want that replicated back or more. So, for Abraham to give up his son, it was the same sort of mentality I would have had. And the challenges were there, but Abraham came through, and God said to Abraham in Genesis 22, verses 15 and 18, It says, the angel of the Lord called to Abraham from the heaven a second time and said, I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sands on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offsprings all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. My sister got married in New Zealand, I think about almost 10 years ago. And my brother and I, who sits in this room, we had an obligation to help support my sister's wedding financially. As we got to New Zealand, there were some unexpected turbulence or unexpected costs that weren't calculated prior to the arrival in New Zealand, and therefore I was short a couple of $1,000, and which meant that my sister, and I only have one sister, which meant that my sister couldn't have the best day of her life. I started dating Rachel probably 6 months into that, and she came with me on that trip. I'm not sure if she's told her mum this, because she's really close to her mum. But Rachel was studying, I think she was in her first year of studying teaching. And my wife's a hard worker. She puts her head down and goes. She's very obedient. She's very loyal to God. So as we were traveling, she could see that I was frustrated, and she could see that my Samoan started to get louder and more aggressive, and I started to look like the Hulk because of these unexpected costs. She pulls me aside and goes, look, this is how much I have in my savings. Take it. That day, I said to myself, she was committed to me 6 months into our relationship. So what was I going to do to replicate that? She committed to me not knowing what was going to happen in the future for us. There's some people will know, but I'm a big family man. And now Foresters Beach Church has become my extended family. Massive family now. I'm so excited. I'm very excited. I know a few of you, I don't know most of you, but I'll get to know you guys. And I'm looking forward to it. That day my wife made that commitment, I made a commitment to her that I will stick by her because she showed love to the people I cherished the most in my life was my family. She gave everything that she had, knowing she was a college student, and she had to work extra hours to make sure she built that back up. But she gave that money willingly to me, so I was able to support my sister's wedding. And the wedding was successful. My sister had 11 bridesmaids, 11 groomsmen. She had a whole army. Yeah, it was... I don't know if any of you guys have been to an island wedding. It's just loud and lots of food. Not a 10,000 toes sort of diet, but just, lots of food. But again, that commitment was made prior to her knowing what was going to happen to us today, where I'm standing today. She made that commitment 6 months into a relationship. She rarely knew me, but she was willing to put out for me to help my family. And I've seen firsthand what the devil can do when you commit yourself to God. I've personally seen it. My family, my brother who sits here, I'm sorry to throw you under the bus, bro, but he comes when there's special occasion. Or there's a big lunch. One or the other. One of those two tie in, he'll turn up. But I'm so glad he's here. And I will continue to pray for my brother. I will continue to pray for my sister. I will continue to pray for my Foresters Beach family and our extended Christian family abroad. Because I'm not sure about you guys, but I know I have a lot of unchurched people, unchurched family that are still searching. It is my commitment to make sure that I can reflect the love of God to them. In here, out there, and wherever God needs us to be. I've seen firsthand what Satan can do to destroy a family. My parents came into the ministry as a family, and they're no longer a family, because I've seen firsthand what the devil can do once you commit to God. I've also seen firsthand what God can do when you obey Him and you give your all to Him. Like, I've got so many things that God has done in my life that has led me to go to college this year. I'm 33 years old. I haven't studied since 2005. And I went to Avondale High, so I thought, Dr. Ford could have given me some recommendations, but so I'm going there. I'm scared. I am literally scared because I feel inadequate. But as I said in the beginning, God does not call the equipped. He equips the ones He calls. So my dad continues to remind me of that. As I said, I've seen firsthand what God can do in your life if you're obedient. The road's not easy. But if you remain committed, like Abraham did, your blessings will come. You won't see them today, you won't see them tomorrow, but in God's time, you will see that blessing. Last weekend, I took my wife and my daughter to Taronga Zoo, and we spent a weekend away just before we started our ministry here. And the days leading up to that weekend, I said to my wife, babe, let's go away. We'll go somewhere in Sydney and let's stay somewhere and just make a nice weekend about it. As the days went on, Friday landed. And my wife comes to me and goes, babe, we still going to a weekend away? I said, sorry, I've just been flooded with work. And other commitments that I had, I just hadn't had time to look around. One thing you'll know about me during our journey at Foresters is that I thrive on negative motivation for some reason. Maybe it's my business mentality. So my wife said to me, babe, so you were all talk, eh? I was like, give me the laptop now. So my wife said, you all talk, eh? Talk, eh? So that day, I booked. We were in Taronga Zoo, we were staying in Taronga Zoo, and we were going away. And my wife reminded me that don't say something if you're not going to commit yourself to it. Don't bother about it. If you're not going to commit, don't say anything. And because I said it, my wife holds me accountable every single day. And that's awesome. That's her job. It's her job to put me in place, make sure I feel like a small man, not a big man. But commitment, the word commitment, as I said, what motivates you to sustain your commitment? Your commitment to work, your commitment to your marriage, your commitment to be a follower of Jesus Christ. What sustains you to maintain that commitment? Who have you allowed in your village or in your community to hold you accountable if you turn right or if you turn left? Who do you have? If you don't have anyone, Neil and I are here, and we're happy to journey with you guys to ensure we have a relationship with Christ and also be able to reflect that to our community abroad. Who do you have to hold you accountable for your commitments? And where do you find your source of strength to push through the hard times? I know in our marriage, God needs to be the center of that whole space. And it is a challenge because I'm fairly young and I'm constantly chasing things. I'm chasing, okay, how do I be a man today for my family? How do I be a father for my daughter today? How am I supposed to be a manager for the staff at work? How am I meant to be a support worker to support these individuals that do not see value in themselves because the community has told them they are not valued? Where do you find your source of strength? Jesus is constantly knocking at your heart, at your door, in your mind, wherever. He is constantly knocking. Just waiting for an opportunity to come in. In Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, but seek first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all things shall be added unto you. So when they say seek, it doesn't mean, I keep referring back to my wife because she has a lot to do with my life. You know, I'll go, babe, I can't find my phone. And she's like, did you have a man's look or a woman's look? I'm like, can you just have a look, please, and stop putting me down? So, seek. Seek means putting everything aside, everything that you treasure, material things, relationships, and seeking God first. Because if you seek him first, everything will be added unto you. Like I said, the journey is not hard. I've seen firsthand what Satan can do, and I've seen firsthand what God has done. And my commitment has led me to where I am today. I want to invite my family up after they play off their phones, because I know they're paying attention. I'll quiz them later. We're going to sing a special item. My dad couldn't be here. He's normally the Elvis Presley of our family, because that's the era he grew up in. He, as I said to the kids earlier, he contracted this strain and was unfortunately couldn't be able to be with us. But this is my cousin AJ. AJ, like, you know, when you hear Islanders, they go, oh, that's my cousin. And sometimes not really your cousin, it's just, you know, a family friend. But this guy's actually my cousin. His mom and my dad are brothers and sisters. My dad is the youngest of 16 siblings, and my mom's the youngest of 13 siblings. So he's on my dad's side. And this is my little brother. And he scares my daughter every time he sees her or she sees him. So hopefully that relationship will start to grow in time if he makes that commitment to turn up to my house. The song we're going to sing, go grab my phone, is while he was on the cross, you were on his mind. So just have a think about your commitments, where it's at. You've got the white one. Nothing at the back. Yep. And the mic. So just have a think about your commitments to God. And let us help you journey through that this year, next year, however many years after this. The road is not easy, but as I said, whoever you invite in your village, whoever you invite in your community to support you, we got you. The white one. You do one. Yep. Okay.
I'm not on an ego trip, 'cause I'm nothing on my own. I've made mistakes and often slipped. I'm just a common flesh and bone, but I'll prove someday just what I'll say, that I'm of a special kind. 'Cause when he was on the cross, I was on his mind. Let us see it.
The look of love was on his face, the thorns on his head, and the blood was on his scarlet robe. It was stained in crimson red, though his eyes were on the crowd that day. He looked ahead in time, 'cause when he was on the cross,
I was on his mind.
'cause he knew me, and yet he loved me.
He whose glory makes the heavens shine.
I'm so unworthy of such mercy, yet when he was on the cross,
I was on his mind.
'cause he knew me, and yet he loved me. He whose glory makes the heavens shine. I'm so unworthy of such mercy, yet when he was on the cross,
You were on his mind.
yet when he was on the cross,
You were on his mind.
Thank you. Thank you, lads. Again, commitment. What does that look like? I ask those questions. Who do you have to hold you accountable? What sustains you, to motivate you to remain committed to that? As a church, we're here. As a church family, we're here. We have communities outside this space as well. Let's continue to involve God in our lives so that we may be able to reflect that to the community outside of this space. I'll close off with a word of prayer. May you bow your heads and close your eyes. Father, we're so grateful for this blessed opportunity. And I ask that you continue to humble our hearts, continue to trim it in a way that we will pursue you more and more, Lord, and that we may be able to be engulfed in your love so that we may pour it upon our community here at Foresters Beach and abroad. I pray that we allow the Spirit to move in this space every single day. Allow the Spirit to move in our hearts so that we will remain committed to you. Thank you again, Father. We are so blessed to be here. Thank you for this beautiful day. We'll talk to you soon. Amen.